Today at 404-631-6360 for more information.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Cannabis Show, with your host is Dr. Yolanda Henderson and Hen Henderson. All right, Mr. Henderson, let's get this show started. So if this is your first time watching the show, we want to welcome you all to the show and allow you all to sit back and relax, enjoy the show. We have a lot of information today, and we're going to have Mr. Hen Henderson to give you the outlets to watch the show.
You can call us at 470-251-4647. If you're on Instagram, type in manifesttv.status. On Periscope, status_network_. On Twitter, status_network_. And if you're on Amazon Fire Stick or Roku, just search Status Network, Manifest TV. If you're on YouTube, search Manifest TV.
That's right. So all of those outlets, you can watch the show, you can join us in, call us. We'd love to hear your comments. We have a lot of controversy going on in the world. The topic for the show today is coronavirus and cannabis. So if you are new to the show, please share, please like the show, share the show as you watch the show. We're giving away $100 to the most shared and the most views that you get shared. So we have a winner from last week. We wanted to announce the winner, Miss Wilson. You won the $100. We will cash app you. And thanks for watching, and hope you're watching and tuning in again. We'll announce the name again later, just in case you haven't logged in yet or tuned into the show yet. But Miss Wilson, you did win $100. All right, so let's get going. We have a lot of things going on, especially in Georgia. We have classes starting back on tomorrow. So classes from 9 to midnight. So for those who have work during the day or those who are busy with children, we allow time for you to go in and watch the videos, the Zoom videos, and get educated. We're giving away your cannabis certifications to teach and your dispensary tech certifications. So if you go ahead and join us on Zoom tomorrow, you can call us at 404-631-6360 for more information. There's all the outlets on the other side there, where you can like us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter, and join us for class. Yep. All right, you have anything you want to add to that, Mr. Henderson?
Just be there.
Be there. All right, Mr. Henderson does an awesome job with the cannabis businesses. So if you are interested in opening up a cannabis business or interested in any of the tax laws, regulations, he does an excellent job with that. All right, so we have topics today on the coronavirus. We're talking about Miss Kelly Loeffler. We're talking about drama in the city in Georgia. Okay, so the governor of Georgia, Kemp, yeah, that's his name. He is suing the mayor of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, this is crazy, y'all. This is all the way crazy. If you have any comments or you want to say anything, we would like to hear from you. And he even put in a little gag order. I call it a gag order. He don't want her to talk to the press, the media, about anything that he's done. Okay, so she's already told us that You know, he didn't do it to any of the other cities, and she was purposefully one of the last states to mandate a mask, to wear a mask. And Savannah's governor, mayor, and different other cities' mayors did the same thing, mandating masks. And here she go, getting a lawsuit. So tell us what you think. What you think about that, Mr. Henderson?
Call us at 470-251-4647.
Yes.
Tell us what your thoughts is.
What your thoughts is? Because I got something to say. I really want to say something, but I want to hear what other people have to say. Y'all can hear what I have to say a little later. So we're waiting on you to call 470-251-4647. All right. So until we get some callers, what do you have going on in the credit repair and finance industry, Mr. Henderson?
Well, I'm still working. I'm still working. So, if anybody is trying to take advantage of the interest rates in the housing market right now, but maybe your lender is telling you that you need some items reviewed on your credit report, and you don't know where to start,
Yeah.
you can look us up. www.nthcredit.net. Come to my website, fill it out. I give you a free consultation. We'll go over the credit report with you, and we factually dispute those errors that's on your credit report. That means we use the law in your favor.
There you go. There you go. So y'all heard it from Mr. Henderson. In other news and very important highlights on our show, we would like to honor the late, great Mr. Lewis, Representative Lewis, John Lewis. All right, so we have a video here. He has passed away, and we want to show our condolences on our show by giving him honor, because he was there with Martin Luther King when they did the march, and he was an activist. So he really did a lot for the civil rights movement. So we would like to tell him and his family, may he rest in peace. He's left a legacy along with many others. So there's also Reverend. Let's see. So we have others that have passed on. So the Reverend Lowry passed on as well. So we also want to give him a shout out. There was also Reverend C.T. Vivian. That's what I was looking for. C.T. Vivian, who also passed away. So we want to celebrate the freedom fighters and the fathers of the movement. So thank you all. May you rest in peace. Honoring you. May we pick up the torch and have other men who can carry this tragic world, the way the world is going at this point. We want to give the torch over to other men who can run this race, and do something to impact the nation, because we are still going through the same things that they went through and they experienced in their era and their younger generation. So it's up to the new generation to pass that torch on and move forward. So with the coronavirus, we have some issues, and people are saying, well, it's not real, it's fake. And we had, nurses that have come out and said, well, we sent the test in, and tests showed that there was a positive test. So we don't know really who's right, who's wrong. We've had family members who got sick. We had a guest on the show last week who was tested positive. She said she was asymptomatic. So we got so much going on. So we have a video of a young lady who has said some things and spoke out about COVID-19. We're going to watch this short video. So tune in as we share this.
I'm gonna try to make this real quick because y'all kind of getting on my nerves. I'm trying to go in here and give me a little wax, and y'all over here trying to get real disrespectful about this COVID stuff. I cannot stress this enough. As a nurse or as any healthcare provider, it is very atypical to see a person with an isolated medical issue. People do not die from the thing that brings them in. They die from side effects. You can look up the most common deaths in America, usually from medical errors, not from the condition themselves. Primary example is I had a relative who went into the hospital for cancer. He did not die from cancer. He died because he aspirated a feeding tube that was put down his nose to give him supplemental nutrition while he was healing from the cancer. If you have HIV, you do not die from HIV. You end up getting pneumonia or some sort of random infection in your body that kills you first. I've seen people who came in with AIDS who did not die from AIDS or from HIV, but their blood was so thin that they were bleeding everywhere, could not clot, that they practically died by bleeding to death. People who could not survive CPR because their ribs were cracking. So technically, no, they didn't die from HIV. That's not what goes on their death certificate, but that is what killed them. COVID is the same way. Hear me out when I say I understand that the government is doing a lot of crooked stuff. I don't put it past the government to be using COVID to fulfill some type of agenda. I don't put it past our government or any other government in the world creating this disease to fulfill some type of agenda. I don't put it past it being some sort of biological warfare, but that does not mean that it's not real. They are slapping COVID around on a lot of death certificates. I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying I do understand that the people who came in the units that I worked on with COVID patients, and let me mind y'all, nobody had to ask me to go into a COVID unit. I volunteered to go to the COVID unit where there was nothing but COVID. We did not have negative pressure rooms to protect ourselves. We didn't have a lot of things. We had so many beds stacked in one tiny room with no negative pressure. I volunteered to go into these areas and care for these people. Okay, so you talking to somebody who I don't give a flying fuck. And I'm telling y'all that a lot of times people die from things that are not COVID, but it's caused by COVID. So some of these people, I admit right now, are dying for something else and they seemingly slapping COVID on the death certificate. But if you catch COVID or you have COVID-like symptoms and then you randomly die, that was COVID. Y'all have to understand that when I was in New York, there was people who never made it to the hospital because they were dying in the ambulance. These people were short of breath, and by the time they realized they were short of breath and wanted to come into the hospital, they were already sitting in the 70s. You don't come back from that. And I'm not talking about old people. I'm not talking about 80-year-olds. I'm talking about 30-year-olds who were coming in and wasn't making it 2 to 3 days in the ICU. They were dead with ventilation or without ventilation. Whether we put them on a vent or didn't put them on a vent. Whether we treated them with vitamins or gave them a Plaquenil, they were dying. So I understand that the government could be doing or probably is doing a lot of crooked stuff right now, but this is real. And y'all don't understand until you've seen a room full of people and none of them survive. You don't get it. And it's funny to y'all, and you have time to sit around and make this some type of conspiracy and say that it's not real because you have not seen it. And I'm telling you, as a nurse, I have never seen COPD patients present the way that these COVID patients came. These are people who I could hardly even draw blood on because their blood was so thick. These are people who, when you draw their blood up to send it to the lab, it's literally black. I had never seen black blood like that in half the room. Literally 80% of the room, their blood was just coming into the tubes black. This is not your typical COPD. And the doctors were doing their best to treat it, but they didn't know how because it's not your typical disease. Come to find out, the vent settings that we use for people who have breathing problems, it didn't work for them. It did not work for COVID patients. We tried. You telling somebody who I tried. I begged and pleaded with these doctors every day. Let's try this. Let's try this. I read this. Everybody tried. And we don't know how to fix this. So when your family member gets sick and coming to the hospital, you understand that some people are going to give it everything they got and still not going to be able to fix them if it's too late. Some of this is genetic. Some people have dispositions to it. Personally, I think some people genetically are disposed to it for some reason, because there was people, I saw older people who were like 80 years old and survived COVID, and I saw 30-year-olds die. So Yes, people are having heart attacks, and y'all are saying, oh, it's a heart attack and it's not COVID. It could have been just a heart attack, and it could have been COVID, because COVID causes microemboli, which is blood clots. Blood clots has a lot of different manifestations. When a person has a stroke, that's a blood clot that lodged in the brain. When a person turns blue from here up because they had a pulmonary embolism, that's a blood clot that stopped in their lungs. When a person loses their leg and they have to go in for an amputation, that's a blood clot that stopped in their leg. If a person has a heart attack, that's a blood clot that stopped in their heart. When a person goes into acute kidney failure with no pre-existing conditions, that's a blood clot that stopped in their kidneys. COVID causes microemboli all over your body. That's why people were dying in the ambulance before they could make it to the hospital, because they were short of breath. They got there, and before it was too late, they couldn't find out it was probably a pulmonary embolism or myocardial infarction, which is the same thing as a heart attack. So, y'all, this stuff is not black and white, and I understand that it is very upsetting, and it fills you with anger to know that the government is playing in our faces, but that still does not mean that we let our guards down. The South has been very, very fortunate. I don't know if it's what we eating, or if it's the fact that we spread out, or if we got some kind of genetic resilience to it, but the South has been very fortunate to still have your way of life, to still be able to walk in the store and sit down and eat. I just walked in a restaurant last night and sat down and ate. That's my first time being able to do that in 4 months. You understand? And y'all are playing. If somebody asks you to put on a mask, just put it on. Because you don't know what it's like being tied down and put in a medically induced coma. They paralyze you. Do you know what that feels like? I worked in an ICU that didn't even have the, we ran out of equipment because there were so many people sick. When you put somebody in a medically induced coma, you're supposed to have a tool that you use. You put it on a muscle and make sure that they're totally paralyzed so that the person is not freaking out. We didn't even have those tools. They were having to use their judgment to medically induce these people in coma and hope that they were paralyzed enough. But it was horrible. You imagine being tied down with a tube down your throat with your arms restrained, no food for 2 or 3 months at a time, for the chance to maybe live again, to maybe eat again and talk again, to walk again and see your family. Like, I understand the government is playing in our face, but y'all gotta stop. Seriously, you gotta stop spreading word, trying to make people feel like this is all a game. It's not a game. I don't know who created the virus, who put it here, what it's here for. I don't know what Trump and them are trying to use it for. I think it's bad that people are losing their jobs, not able to feed their families. This is horrible, but the virus is real. Have never seen manifestations like this. And if you're so certain that it's not real and that it's all fake and made up, I beg of you to come walk on a COVID unit with no negative pressure, with no mask on. I dare you. I dare you. If you have questions about COVID, then ask about COVID. And people who are out here saying all you got to do is eat right and it's going to keep you from getting it, that's not true either. There are very healthy people who caught it. And very much so. I have a very strong immune system. I have gotten the flu 1 time in my entire life. I have not had the common cold since high school. You understand? I got miserably, deathly sick back in February. So whatever the hell is going on right now, it's not typical. And you're talking about a person who eats organic, fruits and vegetables, cuts my sugar, exercises, and I still got so sick back in February that I thought I was dying. So it's not immune. If you have a superb immune system, then that means that you might not have as many symptoms as the next person. It does not mean that you won't catch it. And if you catch it and you're asymptomatic and you pass it on to a relative, then you just put your mother, your father, your grandparents at risk. Know that. Just because you're not symptomatic, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, and people who are saying, oh, well, I never get sick. No, you never are symptomatic. You catch the same stuff that everybody else catch. You just don't have symptoms because your immune system is souped up. But please don't go passing that around immunocompromised people. Black people have the highest rates of heart failure, COPD, obesity. We cannot tolerate catching this shit. You understand? Like, you saying that you good because you work out, but your mama don't work out. So wear a mask for her. That's all. Thank you. If you have any questions, put it in the comment. If you need any clarifications, I'll go live again earlier. But I'm being very disturbed. I am so happy to be back home, but it really saddens me to see how many people are not taking this as a reality or trying to say it's not fake when I lived through it. I lived through seeing them tote bodies out by the day. I lived through seeing refrigerated trucks parked outside of our building, filled up with bodies because there was a morgue across the street that they didn't have room for. There's no room in the morgues. They are full. So it's not a game whether Trump did it or not, whether somebody from China did it or not. That's beyond us now. The reason why it got here and what they're trying to use it to fulfill whatever agenda, that's another issue. If you want to go protest on the laws, protest on the laws. If you want to protest for unemployment, for work from home jobs, for some kind of guaranteed income because computers are taking over our jobs, then protest for that. But please stop saying the COVID is fake. That is all.
Oh, that is, she said that is all. All right, that was a nurse, and she had gone to New York. She's traveled around. She's been on the COVID unit. She wasn't afraid. She was a frontline worker. That's almost like a military. I salute you there, sisters, in action on COVID floors. They are overflowing now at this point. There's, you know, a lot going on. And at the same time, we have people who are dying left and right.
The president don't even like Dr. Fauci.
They
want to fight.
Yeah, yeah. So it's some stuff going on. They need to.
Then you got the governor and the mayor of this joint. They want to fight.
They want to. I mean, everybody is turning against each other.
The body's gonna hit the floor between now and November. Watch one thing. So body's gonna hit the floor, man. Because all this syrup in the way, man. All this just thickness, miscommunication. You know, not everybody is well versed in medical language. So when you say that they had a heart attack, then you know what I'm saying, that's what you expect to see on a death certificate. So it ain't just, you know, that people, you know, don't care about it, but you know, it's a certain way that things have to be presented to some people. Not everybody's gonna understand it, even if it's right there in their face. You know, some messages about health and well-being, you just have to, you know, you gotta put the political correctness part of it out and tell it what it is.
Yeah. All right, so you heard it here on the Atlanta Academy of Cannabis Science. Next up, I mean, we have some topics. We have birthdays for July. Big shouts out to all of the July birthdays. We say happy birthday to you. You want to sing happy birthday? No. We're not going to say your happy birthday, but we want to shout you out. Miss Marquita Weaver, we want to shout you out. Happy birthday. We missed you today. Today is your birthday. Miss Anika, we appreciate everything you do. You have been a big help and success for the Gift of Life Community Home. So you are our director in Texas, and we appreciate you, Miss Anika Duke. All right, so any birthdays, if you want to call in and shout out your birthday or your loved one's birthday, you have the number. If not, it's 470-251-4647. We're still waiting and want to hear from you with the Governor Kemp in Georgia, and Mrs. Our mayor, Miss Keisha Bottoms. We love you. She's like a mother figure, and I understand what she's saying. She wants to protect us. I mean, everybody in Atlanta, your mama used to tell you to put on your coat when it was cold outside. I mean, your mama would tell you, you know, to put something over your head. So as a mother, I understand where Mrs. Keisha Bottoms is coming from, where she's telling us to put on those masks when you go out. It's like mama telling you to put on your coat. It's cold outside. It is a pandemic going on out here, y'all. Put on your mask. If you don't go, people has a right to do the business the way they want to do their business. If Kroger says you got to mandatorily put on this mask, you better do what Kroger say do, because it's their business. This is the way it is. I mean, Atlanta is her city, and for the governor to have the audacity to get on her about her doing her job in the city that she was elected in. I mean, she didn't have to steal election. She won this fair and square. So for you to be here, and you've already had bouts with other people in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, you know, I give my hat off to her, because she had to deal with you in the runoff in the election. So I feel bad, because you have this track record of dealing with women, and especially black women. At this point, I got to say that. And then people may ask, well, what does this have to do with cannabis? Well, I'm going to tell y'all what it has to do with cannabis, because he appointed a lady that we all know does not support Black Lives Matter. She has had a video and have had many conferences showing that Black Lives does not matter. She is Kelly Loeffler. She is the women's NBA, or over the women's NBA, and they don't like her. They don't want her in their business anymore because she does not support and understand how Black Lives Matter. Now, I have a letter from her talking about how she dealt with the issues of the cannabis, and how she's reached out to the Surgeon General, and how he's saying that cannabis is going to affect communities and people. And what about the prescription drugs, Mr. Surgeon General, or Miss Kelly Loeffler, that you were appointed by Mr. Kemp? What happened to all of that? What happened to the Georgia being the 13th state that has had the highest death rates for prescription medication? What about that community, where it being Caucasians that are mainly dying because of prescription drugs? What about the crisis that's going on with the pandemic? Have the Surgeon General said anything about that? I mean, we have looked at all of the symptoms, all of the benefits, all of the things related around cannabis and the legalization. At this point in time, what are you got to lose? You're losing over 3,000 people a month more than, and you're telling me, and that's just in one state, and you're telling me that the Surgeon General, where there's no proven track record of a death due to cannabis, that that's going to cause a death, and especially in pregnant women, and something else you said. I have the letter. I'm going to go ahead and read this letter, because people don't understand how this runs my blood. This is really, and she really, and he's really causing all of this chaos here in the state of Georgia, and it's affecting us all over the world, because if she thinks that way, then what else in Senate is being told a false lie to those people in Senate and in Congress, who's got the power to legalize cannabis on a national level, on a federal level? What do you have to say about that, Mr. Henderson? I know I'm a little heated. Let me look up this letter while you go ahead and tell us what you think about it.
Until cannabis is legal on a federal level, everything else is irrelevant.
Everything else, like what? To explain a little bit more about what you got.
All the bickering about the legalization of cannabis at the state level, it's irrelevant.
Right.
But that's what happened when you give something like cannabis over to the states to decide, and you start letting them kind of make their own rules. That's kind of what you get. You get a bunch of different opinions. You get a bunch of different feelings. Right. Georgia is a Bible Belt state, so trying to convince everybody here that cannabis is good, man, is really just a brick wall in itself. But Georgia's not alone in thinking that cannabis is still the great evil, even in 2020.
Even in 2020, you're for real. I mean, in Texas, the only way you can get a card in Texas is if you have epilepsy. Now, as a instructor, as a doctor over the cannabis, the Atlanta, Georgia Academy of Cannabis Science, there is so much information. There are so many studies, and then they're blocking. It's like have you ever heard of a cock blocker? You know what I'm saying? They are blocking research. They're using a few of the people that they said that have caused harm, that they said has caused harm, to manifest and stop the manifestation of good people being healed and being treated and being happy and feeling a lot better in their lives.
Because those people don't come out and tell what they know. Right. Even with the coronavirus, right? With the coronavirus, you hear all this stuff going on, talking about it, wear the mask, all this political mumbo jumbo that's going on with it. Now check this out. How much of y'all feed show somebody saying, hey man, I've been healed from it, I recovered of it, that number is not going to be high. All right? You're going to see more worry and panic, because that's kind of the package deal that goes with this whole coronavirus thing.
Right.
It's fear.
Right.
And worry and panic and anxiety and stuff like that. You know,
Right.
that's just part of it. And
Right.
unfortunately, the mass of the people who live here, man, they're just gonna be the casualties of war if that's your position on it. But you know, I mean, it just is what it is. Ain't nobody gonna wholly agree with cannabis at 100%.
Right.
Nobody, no state is gonna go for that at 100%.
Well-
But then too, it depends on the size of the advocacy too. Now,
Yes.
now, if you ain't got but just a handful of people steady saying the same thing, we
Yes.
need cannabis, we
Yes.
need cannabis. Yeah, you get your information, you get your research. This is what cannabis cures. It can do this,
Yes.
it can do this. But if you live in a state to where they say, oh yeah, one of the only, these are a list of things, you know what I'm saying, that you can have cannabis for or cannabis oil.
It's not fair.
Man, that's not fair. It should be
That's
up
not
to
fair.
everybody to decide. And the only way that everybody gonna be able to have a voice in their own health care is not at the state level. I'm telling you, no matter who you pick.
But that's why Kelly
but see,
Loeffler is
but
supposed to be over in the federal in the system up there in Washington. This is who Kemp appointed to put her up there, white woman. I mean, I'm not saying anything about it, but she was appointed by Governor himself
Yeah.
to go and make those choices and speak up for us. Okay, not only are we a Bible-based state here in
If
Georgia.
you work for me and you doing a poor job, I'm gonna try my best to eliminate your position and get somebody else in there.
Right.
That's just point blank.
Right, but he want to take out Keisha Bottoms.
Man, yeah, all of that is fine, but still, what I'm saying is, if people want to have the something to say, and they want their laws to be changed, then the people, which is more people than it is politicians, those people need to be the people to step out and really do a real big deal. You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah, a lot of people protested about George Floyd. A lot of people protested about the police brutality thing, but that's not the totality of what's wrong with the society. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
But all the time, all the energy, all the resources was focused on just that. You had protest marches going on that had tens of thousands of people in attendance, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the only thing that those things really focused on was police brutality, when it should have been focusing on all of the society issues that you want dealt with. All that
of
should have been included in their energy.
But it
because you
trickles
had
down to the
everybody's-
cannabis industry as well. Sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
it
I
does.
guess so, but
Yeah.
not just even with the cannabis. If you wanna see better working wages, if you wanna see, safer neighborhoods, if
Yeah.
you wanna have more freedom in what your kids eat for school lunch, if you wanna have more freedom in when your kids go back to school, you want more of a voice, more of a choice, you need to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't show up, then the only thing left for you to do is
Just
shut
be
up.
quiet. Yes, that's
These
true.
people is only gonna do as much as we allow them to do. You see what I'm saying? Now everybody say, "Oh yeah, go vote them out, go vote them out."
Votes,
Right?
right.
Georgia got 2 more elections coming up. You know what I'm saying? One in August and one in November. All right.
Your vote
now
counts.
check this out. People say that your vote count. Okay. Maybe it do.
If you're not dead from COVID, I'm just saying.
But
They
how
trying to
many
kill
times?
everybody.
How many times have people voted? And I'm not discouraging voting.
No.
I'm just saying the election system in our country needs to be
Fixed.
looked at.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It needs to be examined. It needs to be, it needs to be more transparent.
It does.
Because that's how these people are able to get into these offices, by sleight of hand with the votes. You see what I'm saying? That's how a lot of them get there, and that's how a lot of them stay there. You know what I'm saying? I just refuse to believe that Georgia is a state that's full of people who just ain't up on that.
Yep.
I just kind of don't believe that, man. I believe a lot of people are willing, once they have the information, to find out what they need to do,
Right.
they'll do it.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of on both sides right now.
It is.
You know, Kemp have his own interests and reasons in acting the way that he acting about it. Maybe he wanted all the shine on him. Maybe he wanted to make all the executive decisions. Maybe they wanted to provide a unified front. Okay, Kemp is the guy, so Kemp is the governor. So, hey man,
Follow
look,
the
this is the
governor.
information here.
Yeah.
And then as far as, you know what I'm saying, all the interviews that that the mayor of Atlanta have done, you know, somebody got to speak out. But the other side of that argument is, okay, when you're in politics, much like a corporation, which the United States is a corporation, so as much as you have the chain of command issue, you see what I'm saying? Did the mayor of Savannah do news?
And he's a black man.
Did the mayor of Athens do news?
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to do better about picking and choosing which battles, where we choose to fight those battles, right? Sometimes you have to kind of take that into consideration too. But then that leaves one to speculate that, hey man, I did hear that Joe Biden was actually considering talking to Keisha Bottoms about being a VP pick. So you never know what a person's intentions is on doing something, because if Keisha get picked and she running with Joe Biden, guess who gonna be her opponents? You see what I'm saying? Same man that's her boss right now.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a Trump supporter, but you got these two forces that's really at battle with each other. You know what I'm saying? Over us. You know what I'm saying? Over our lives.
Yeah.
But they not battling for us. They battling over us. You see what I'm saying?
It's like having some parents that want one mama,
It's
one daddy,
politics.
just
some
at
people say
odds with each other, and then you gotta.
some people say that
understand.
politics. Some people say that politics is like, you know, it's like being a lawyer. It's hard to trust a lawyer. It's even harder to trust a politician. Because a politician, look, they go out, they do all this grandstand, and oh yeah, we give you a free lunch. Yeah, I'm gonna give you free health care. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then as soon as they get elected, do you see any of that? You know, your neighborhood get any different?
Yeah.
See, these are things that we can gauge as at a citizen level. Okay, so then they had these meetings. Okay, you go to the city meetings, you express your concern. When you express your concern, hey man, we want to legalize cannabis in the joint. If you get enough people doing that, it's only one thing that a politician, two things that a politician really care about. All right, money and votes. Them the only two things that's gonna make a politician do something. All right, you could get on the TV and grandstand all day, but that ain't gonna make him do nothing. You know what I'm saying? He don't care. He used to being drugged in the newspaper. He used to being drugged and talk about on the street. So it ain't gonna matter if you get on TV and do it.
Right.
It ain't gonna matter.
Right. Right.
Dude got people to answer to.
He does.
That's my point.
He
Dude
does.
got people to answer to. And those people, you know what I'm saying, man, is the same people that were saying, I want to go to the bowling alley.
Whew. Oh,
I want to go get my nails done.
Yeah.
You
They
see what I'm
wanted to
saying?
open it
I want to
back
go
up.
back to a barber shop.
Yeah.
For what? Everything on lockdown. You at the house anyway.
Yeah.
And then we wasn't making it no better, because as soon as they eased up on it a little bit, we started having parties, barbecues. We was, hey, brother, I ain't seen you in a minute. But then,
forgot the COVID.
but then, you know what I'm saying, people need that social interaction.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? People need that too. All right? So what's the best thing to do? Interact socially with your mask on, man, and wash your hands.
There you go.
Right? Sounds like a simple solution.
Wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your 6 feet distances. Everybody is doing it now. And so back to what I was talking about, Miss Kelly Loeffler, the Georgia state senator, she says,
she bad.
This was a letter. All right,
Go ahead.
Dear Mrs. I'm not going to say the name. I'm going to scratch the name out for purposes other. But thank you for contacting me to share your thoughts about the legislation of marijuana. It is in our honor to serve the people of Georgia in the United States, and I appreciate the opportunity to hear from you on this issue. Okay. While I understand some of the arguments in favor of ending the federal prohibition of marijuana, and I'm aware that there are potential medical applications, I am concerned about the negative effects that legalizing marijuana would have on communities, families, and our nation's youth. Stop right there. The impact, she said the negative, so I want to talk about the negative versus the positive. There is way more positive, okay? There's over, 160? Okay, Library of Congress, go look it up. Ailments that cannabis treats and cures. Grandmama, whatever, sister, brother, cousin didn't have to die of some of these things. And I know, like the nurse said in the video that we played earlier, that some of these ailments is because of our living conditions, okay, obesity, okay, not taking care of your body. But at the same time, when you have something that is made from the earth, okay, that God has given us for healing, and we can't use it because people thinks that is a negative effect. It's like saying you can't use Tylenol, you can't use hydrocodone, you can't use this and that, you can't eat a hamburger. What about the obesity problem that we have here in the United States? Sad American diet, the sad diet, I'm just thinking about all the other negative things that we have on this continent, on this planet, on this earth, in the United States, in Georgia. We can talk about the neighborhoods. I live here, honey. You go down DeKalb, in DeKalb County, and go down some of these streets where the streets are tore up from the floor up. Okay, we just had the President Trump, the president came here and visited Georgia. There is so much things you can say that has a negative effect other than the cannabis. Have you ever heard of the black market? Now, this is where we have police brutality because they're trying to stop drugs that is already going to be here anyway. You cannot stop a person from choosing to do something. But what about the people who are sick? And you talk about the overflow in the hospitals, it wouldn't be as much.
Cannabis is a bronchodilator.
It is. It helps with breathing problems.
So if I got a breathing situation, why not just lock me in there with
better
some
than a
vaporized
cigarette?
Cannabis?
Right. It helps your lungs more than a cigarette
some
can.
oil.
It helps with, they have now the cannabis inhalers for bronchodilation in order to, so if you're not a medical professional, please do not talk about the negative effects versus what you see in the hospital. If you've ever walked into a COVID unit, if you ever walked into one of these places, I had just had a baby in the hospital just before COVID hit, and she stayed in there for 3 months. I was at that hospital every day. I was there before the doctors even got there. So I knew, and I've seen things going on, and they would have tested me and thought that I was maybe taking cannabis. I wasn't taking cannabis, but if I had some CBD or some cannabis, my baby would have been better. She would have had more opportunity quicker. And while y'all ran up my insurance because y'all thought maybe I had Medicaid, I have a lot to say about that too, because I'm an African American woman. Because what is it that you're doing this for? What is the motives in the realm of you standing up and stepping out for Black Americans? And so, just like in a Black Lives Matter, I think there's a lot of people that is upset with Miss Kelly. And, we praying for you. We hope that we don't vote you in or have governor vote you in again, or maybe he gets out, because, y'all can't be teaming up on Miss Bottoms like that. That's
You about to lose your job.
You about to lose your job. You know what I'm saying? And then, to speak with freedom of speak, I have that right. So if anybody want to cancel my show, like they did Nick Cannon for speaking out, and he was not saying that for everybody. He has mixed kids. I just wanted to throw that in. That wasn't even part of the show. But Nick Cannon, poor thing, got his doggone show canceled. And I like Wildin' Out. That was a really funny show. And we need that humor right now. You see the things that we need as Black people, they trying to get rid of it. Do y'all see this? This is like I don't know. I need some advocacy. If y'all want to call us, call 470-251-4647, because I need some. If I'm wrong, I love corrective criticism. Please, let me know what's going on here, because my blood done started boiling. I really am never this vocal on my show, but I am very vocal today about what's going on. And then she goes on to say, according to the U.S. Surgeon General, let's talk about him, even limited use of marijuana piques risk to individuals, and especially for adolescents and pregnant women. I encourage you to read the Surgeon General's advisory on marijuana. Any efforts by Congress to legalize this substance must be taken seriously and with the common goal in mind to prevent Americans from becoming dependent on drugs. I had to stop right there. Dependent on prescription medication, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. Surgeon General, Miss Kelly Leffner. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that dependency. All right. So what about, she says also, if you have any other questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Your comments and opinions are a vital source of information to assist me in carrying out my duties as your senator from Georgia. Please visit my website at www.leffler.senate.gov. We need you all to go and contact her and let her know that the Surgeon General needs to be fired. You know how they're trying to fire Fauci, what's his name, Mr. Fauci, for the COVID stuff, information he been putting out. Some people get the wrong information and they need to be educated. I want to empower you all to get educated. Come join the Atlanta Academy of Cannabis Science. Come and get that knowledge, because apparently the way this letter is written, y'all are misinformed about a lot of things. So again, if you have any questions or concerns, please call us. Please contact us 404-631-6360. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. The Holistic Cannabis Show. What you got, Mr. Henderson, before we get out of here? All right, well, that ends the show for today. We didn't get any calls, but if you can, comment in the comment section. Let us know how you feel about it. Please share. Again, our winner was Ms. Roshonda, Miss Caldwell Wilson. We thank you for sharing, and we will see you all back here, same time, same place. Thanks for watching, and we honor you. Rest in peace to our representatives. Thank you.